If someone asked me why I showed up at my ex-boyfriend's wedding, I honestly wouldn't have a convincing explanation. Part of me wanted to believe I was over everything, but another part kept trembling as I stood before that lavish floral gate. People say sometimes you should bravely face your past to see how much you've grown. I disagree. The past never truly dies. It just lies in wait for the right moment to stab you straight in the heart. And today, at this extravagant party, my past chose the perfect moment to return. My name is Emily Scott, I'm 27 years old, and I work as an accountant for a small construction company on the outskirts of Boston. Alex Wilson and I were together for 3 years, since our days as students at the University of Massachusetts. During those 3 years, I trusted him more than anyone else, so much so that I still remember the day he broke up with me, cold and decisive, as if that relationship had never existed. A year later, I heard he was getting married. They invited me out of fake politeness, a way to prove that we were mature and civilized. I was naive enough to believe I could smile and wish him well, like all those other strong women. But standing in the grand hall of Lillian Hall, staring at the sign Alex and Veronica forever hanging at the entrance, I realized things weren't as simple as I thought. Alex's wedding was lavish, over 200 guests, all well-known faces in Boston's real estate circle. Me, just a shadow of the past, lost among these fancy people, my pale blue dress suddenly feeling pathetically dull. I glanced around for familiar faces to escape the feeling of being out of place. Luckily, Rachel, a former classmate of both me and Alex, was there too. The moment she spotted me, she rushed over and pulled me aside. "Oh my God, Emily, you actually came. Are you sure you're okay?" I forced a smile, pressing my lips together to hide the stabbing pain in my chest. "I'm fine. Just here to say congratulations and then I'll leave," I told myself. Just a few more hours, and I'd be back in my tiny apartment, stripping off this brave mask and sleeping it all away like nothing ever happened. But deep down, I knew I was lying to myself. Every cheerful song, every burst of laughter over glasses of wine made me feel lonelier than ever. I wandered through the reception hall, quietly taking in the rows of tables draped in crisp white cloths, the bouquets of red roses tucked into every corner. The scent of expensive perfume and the low hum of whispered gossip made me feel so small I might as well have been invisible. Occasionally, some eyes would glance my way, a few murmurs. "She's Alex's ex, they were almost engaged, you know." I pretended not to hear, focusing on the glass of champagne in my hand, hoping the alcohol would steady my shaking heart. I don't blame those strangers because I, too, have asked myself 100 times, why am I here? To prove I'm stronger than my past? Or just to torture myself one more time? I didn't have an answer. All I knew was that every corner of this lavish room reminded me of the memories I once poured my whole heart into with Alex. And now I stood there, an uninvited, unwelcome guest, in the middle of the happiness that once should have been mine. When the music stopped, the MC's voice came on, inviting the guests to gather at the stage to welcome the bride and groom. I gripped my glass tighter, staring at the giant oak doors about to swing open, the doors through which Alex, the man I once thought would grow old with me, would walk in hand with another woman. I took a deep breath, telling myself, just a few more hours, Emily. Hang in there. But I didn't know that in just a few more hours, I would be facing another storm, one I never saw coming. The music stopped, the oak doors swung open, and every eye instantly turned toward the couple walking in hand. Alex looked the same. Tall, broad-shouldered. His neatly trimmed brown hair and perfectly fitted black suit giving him that dignified air I used to foolishly feel proud of. But it was his hand gripping Veronica's that truly made my heart tighten. Veronica Mason, today's bride, was well known as the youngest daughter of the owner of a major real estate company in downtown Boston. She was a year older than me, tall, with softly curled blonde hair and flawless makeup that couldn't hide her arrogant gaze. I remember the first time I met Veronica, when she was still introduced as Alex's business partner. Back then, I had no idea everything had already begun to change. Applause rose like a wave. I automatically clapped along, though my palms were already clammy with cold sweat. Alex didn't see me, Or he pretended not to. But Veronica was different. The moment her eyes landed on me, her blood-red lips curled into an unreadable smile. I could feel the mockery beneath that sweet bride mask. The party began. One fancy dish after another was served. The clinking of glasses and bursts of laughter filled the room, glittering under crystal chandeliers. I sat at a table near the back, far from the main stage, the spot for less important guests. I didn't expect more. I just hoped everything would end quickly so I could slip away before anyone stared too long. But nothing ever went the way I wished. Near the end of the party, when the guests were tipsy, Veronica suddenly broke away from her circle of friends and strode straight toward me. The mix of expensive perfume and wine made my head spin. I gently set down my knife and fork, reminding myself to stay calm. "Emily Scott, right?" Veronica's voice was sweet as honey, but her eyes swept over me from head to toe with contempt. I nodded, pressing my lips together, trying to remain polite. "Congratulations on your wedding," I said softly, my voice drowned by the music. Veronica let out a small laugh, glancing around to make sure people nearby were watching. Then she bent down, leaning close to my ear, whispering just loud enough for a few onlookers to hear. "You're really brave, sitting here like a loser. I almost respect that." My face burned hot, my ears ringing with the murmurs around me. I stayed perfectly still, hands clutching my dress under the table. Veronica knew that, which only made her more pleased. She kept going, as if lecturing a pitiful fool. "Really, you should be grateful to me, Emily. Without me, how much longer would you have wasted your youth on Alex? He needs someone more worthy, you understand." I drew a deep breath, swallowing the lump in my throat. Her perfume hit my nose so hard it made me nauseous. I could hear the giggles of a few bridesmaids nearby. They covered their mouths, but their eyes betrayed how delighted they were to watch me being humiliated. I wanted to stand up and leave, but my legs felt rooted to the floor. Partly out of pride, partly because I refused to let her think I was scared or weak. I lifted my head, stared straight into Veronica's eyes, and forced my voice to stay calm. "I wish you two happiness. And I believe whatever starts with lies will eventually end in tears." That line wiped the smile off Veronica's face for a split second. But then she burst out laughing, a shrill laugh that made several people turn to look. She planted her hand on my shoulder, her voice screeching. "So you're cursing me at my own wedding? Just admit you're jealous. Stop pretending to be so moral. Everyone knows you're the loser in this love story." I heard the clinking of plates, felt a few pitying glances flick over me before quickly turning away. No one wanted to get caught up in a scandal between the bride and the groom's ex. I wished I could disappear right then, but my body was frozen like stone. Veronica straightened up, adjusted her wedding dress, scanned my table, then dropped one final line like a knife slicing into my chest. "Really, you being here just makes people pity you, Emily. A withered flower should accept its fate. Don't try to force your way into someone else's garden." With that, she turned away, her long train brushing against my feet like a cruel reminder. I'd been cut out of their story a long time ago. I stared at the swirling wine in my glass, my hands trembling. Inside me, shame and resentment rose like a tornado. But just when I thought the worst was over, a small but clear voice spoke behind me. "Excuse me, I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I think you need to know the truth." I spun around. Standing behind me was a young waitress, her black and white uniform neat, her blue eyes filled with pity, and an odd look of determination. I didn't know that the words she was about to say would slice right through the glamorous curtain Alex and Veronica had built all this time. I turned around, my eyes meeting the blue eyes of the waitress. She had chestnut brown hair neatly tied under a white cap. Her face still showing a hint of youth, but her gaze was unusually firm. Before I could ask anything, she leaned in slightly, speaking just loud enough for me alone to hear. "I'm sorry if I'm bothering you, but I think you deserve to know." I blinked, my chest rising and falling like it might burst. I glanced around. A few eyes were starting to turn toward my table. Veronica was still laughing and chatting with a group of VIP guests, unaware of what was happening. I leaned aside and gestured for the waitress to sit in the empty chair next to me. She sat down hesitantly, set her tray of wine aside, and whispered, "My name is Lily Carter. I've worked at this hotel for over a year now. I know about you and Alex. I know more than you think." A chill ran down my spine. Why would a waitress know about me and Alex? And why would she risk telling me today, of all days, their wedding day? I swallowed hard, asking in a low voice, "What are you trying to say?" Lily clenched her hands into the folds of her apron. Under the lights, I saw her knuckles turn white. She looked up at me, her voice trembling but steady. "I know for a fact that Veronica isn't innocent. 2 years ago, she regularly booked VIP rooms at this hotel, with Alex. They were seeing each other behind your back for almost half a year before he broke up with you." My heart felt like it was being crushed. All the music, the clinking glasses, the laughter around me suddenly went silent. Only Lily's voice remained, stabbing into my mind like needles. I had suspected this deep down, but hearing someone else confirm it hurt like being betrayed all over again. Are you sure?" I heard my own voice hoarse and my throat tight. Lily nodded firmly. "I have no reason to lie. At first I was scared because Veronica threatened to get me fired more than once. But seeing her humiliate you today, I can't stay quiet anymore." She trembled as she finished speaking, as if she had used up all her courage just to say this. I sat frozen, old blurry memories suddenly stacking up. All the times Alex suddenly turned off his phone, the late-night calls he avoided, the text saying he was meeting a client. It all pieced together into a perfect picture of betrayal. Lily gently grabbed my hand, her eyes red. "I still have some old messages between them on the front desk computer. If you want, I can show you right now." I exhaled a long breath, a numb chill spreading to my fingertips. I couldn't understand why I was still sitting there, not crying, not screaming, just feeling a massive emptiness opening inside my chest. And deep within that void, the self-respect that Veronica had stomped on suddenly rose up, roaring for justice. I looked at Lily, my voice strangely calm. "Can you give me copies of those messages?" "Of course. But what are you going to do?" I gave a slight smile, a smile I didn't even know what to call, bitter or proud. I said, "I'm not going to do anything. The truth will handle itself." I stood up, leaving Lily watching me in worry. I didn't care about the curious eyes clinging to me. I walked straight toward the main hall, where Alex and Veronica were greeting guests. My high heels tapped steadily on the marble floor, each step drumming my heart into something harder. When I was about 3 steps away, Veronica turned around. For a split second, I caught the flash of panic in her eyes. Then it quickly changed into that sickly sweet fake smile. Alex looked at me like I was a meaningless shadow. "Emily, why haven't you left yet?" Veronica's voice dripped honey laced with poison. I smiled, replying in a light tone. "I just wanted to wish you two a truly memorable wedding night. Oh, and Veronica, you might want to remind your people to keep secrets better. It's a shame, the hotel staff here are more honest than you think." Veronica's face froze, the flush on her cheeks draining to a pale green. Alex frowned, his lips parting to ask something, but I didn't give him the chance. I turned around, leaving their horrified faces behind me. I knew, in just a moment, the truth would spread like an oil slick through this dazzling party. And this time, I wouldn't have to say a single word to defend myself. I left the banquet hall but didn't go far. I stood in the corridor right next to the staff area, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst out of my chest. I knew that with just a few words from Lily, that brave waitress, the perfect mask Alex and Veronica wore would fall right in front of this fancy crowd. And I knew she wouldn't back down anymore. Just a few minutes later, I saw Lily rushing out. She spotted me, her breath ragged but her eyes no longer trembling. Instead, there was a rare determination for someone just in her early 20s. "Are you sure you want me to say it now?" Lily asked, her voice a whisper but firm. I nodded, speaking softly. "Yes, no more hiding. Just tell the truth." Lily swallowed hard, clutching her phone still open to the old messages. I placed my hand on her shoulder, whispering one last time, "Don't be afraid. The truth only harms the liars." Lily gave a slight nod, her blue eyes shining with a hint of courage, then turned and walked straight back into the banquet hall. I followed, keeping just enough distance, my legs numb but my mind clear like never before. Inside, the music had softened, and guests were mingling and giving their blessings. Alex and Veronica stood in the middle of the crowd, faces smiling confidently, like two people enjoying their last moment of glory, clueless that a storm was about to hit. Lily stopped in front of the small stage, took a deep breath, then stepped up the steps. The sound of her low heels echoed faintly, but each step thudded in my ears like a drum. A few guests began to take notice, murmuring fading into silence as Lily picked up the band's microphone that had been left there. Her voice rang out, not loud but clear, every word like a cold blade. "Excuse me, everyone. I'm just a waitress here. But I can't stay silent anymore. I know this might make some people uncomfortable, but I have to say the truth." All eyes turned to the stage. Alex frowned, starting to move forward, but Veronica grabbed his arm, her face pale, her lips trembling violently. I stood by a marble pillar, hands clenched tight, my heart pounding like a war drum, but I didn't blink once. Lily held up her phone, showing the screen to everyone. 2 years ago, Miss Veronica Mason, today's bride, was secretly seeing the groom, Alex Wilson, while he was still in a relationship with someone else. I was the one cleaning their room many times, and she threatened me to keep it quiet. These are the messages I've kept as proof. The whole hall fell dead silent. The background music had stopped at some point. Only shocked whispers and gasps filled the air. A few older guests covered their mouths. Others pulled out their phones, recording this rare scene, an expose right in the middle of the most extravagant wedding around. Alex's eyes widened, and he roared, "What nonsense are you talking about? Who gave you the right to do this?" But Lily didn't back down. She projected the messages larger, then said firmly, "I don't need any right. I just need the truth. And I will take responsibility if anyone proves I made this up." Veronica's face turned waxy pale. Her hand clenched the hem of her wedding dress, lips pressed so tight they bled. She lunged to snatch the mic from Lily, but some guests nearby stepped in to block her. An older woman, apparently Alex's aunt, scolded sternly, "Alex, is this true?" Alex's mouth fell open, but no words came out. Sweat broke out on his forehead as his eyes darted from Veronica to the guests, like a child cornered with no escape. Lily lowered the mic, turning to me. Her eyes met mine. No more fear, no more confusion, only freedom. I gave her a small nod, my silent thank you needing no words. Around the room, whispers turned into angry murmurs. So that's what it was. Such cowardice. That poor girl. Some people looked at me, but this time there was no pity, only understanding and a trace of respect. I stood still under the sparkling lights, unmoving like a spectator watching a film where I had been dragged to the lowest point, then lifted back to the peak of dignity by a single truth. Veronica screamed, lunging at Lily, but 2 hotel security guards rushed in time to hold her back. The rustle of her wedding dress dragged across the shiny floor, mixed with sobs and furious curses. All of it blending into a broken song for a wedding that was supposed to be perfect. I turned around and walked away while every eye still followed my back. I didn't need to stay to watch Alex's pointless explanations or Veronica's pleading tears. No excuses mattered once the truth was out. I passed by Lily standing dazed by the wings, and squeezed her hand lightly. "Thank you," I whispered, just loud enough for her to hear. Lily looked at me, eyes red but with a small smile. She didn't say anything, but I understood. Sometimes all it takes is one person brave enough to speak up, and the darkness has nowhere left to hide. I walked quickly out of the banquet hall but didn't go far. I stood hidden behind a marble pillar in the hallway. From there I could still see the wide-open main doors of the reception room. The noise inside grew louder and louder. Inside, everything Alex and Veronica had painstakingly built over the past 2 years was crumbling. The guests' murmurs, the clicking of cameras, someone's angry hiss. It was a chaotic symphony, and I was no longer the victim. A familiar guest, Mrs. Helen, the aunt who once adored me, hurried outside, grabbed my hand and panted, "Oh, Emily! I didn't know. You had to endure all this time." I smiled, gently squeezing her hand. "I'm okay now. Everyone will see the truth for themselves." Helen looked at me with pity before going back inside, leaving me alone in the cold hallway. I leaned against the stone pillar, taking a deep breath. Inside me, something like an old dull pain had just been ripped out at the root. Empty but relieved. Suddenly, familiar footsteps echoed behind me. I turned around to see Alex walking out. His eyes were frantic, his tie loosened, his face slick with sweat and panic. "Emily!" he called my name. His voice hoarse as if he'd just had a heated argument. I crossed my arms, standing still as I looked at him. For the first time in years, I looked at Alex without feeling my heart twist. To me now, he was just an ordinary man, ambitious and weak. "You heard what she said, didn't you? Lily made it up, Emily. She hates Veronica, so she's lying. You have to believe me." Alex stepped closer, his trembling hands touching my shoulders out of old habit. I tilted slightly, avoiding his touch, my voice strangely calm. "You don't need to explain to me anymore. I'm nothing to you now, so save your excuses." Alex squinted, his voice suddenly hissing through clenched teeth. "You hate me that much? You have to know I did it all for my career. I couldn't marry you. You don't have the background, Emily. You don't get it." I let out a dry laugh that echoed down the empty hallway. "You're right. I don't have the background. But at least I have self-respect. The very thing you sold for this pathetic wedding." Alex stood frozen, lips moving but unable to say anything more. Those eyes I once trusted to feel safe in were now just empty and pitiful. I stepped past him, but before leaving for good, I stopped, turned back, and looked straight into those eyes one last time. "I wish you and Veronica happiness. Oh, and things that start with lies always end in tears. You'll understand that soon enough, Alex." Then I turned my back on him, leaving him rooted there like a statue in the long hallway, under the cold yellow lights shining on his pale face. Stepping into the grand lobby, I saw Lily waiting. As soon as she saw me, she ran over, her face worried. "I'm sorry, I might have said too much. Are you okay?" I shook my head, squeezed Lily's hand. "You did the right thing. Thank you for having the courage to say everything for me." Lily gave a small smile, her eyes red but sparkling with relief. "I just couldn't stand watching you get humiliated like that. I'm just a small staff member, but I think everyone deserves to be treated fairly." I nodded, silently grateful for this tiny girl more than ever. The truth she had held inside had restored my dignity, and stripped the masks off the liars. I stood on the hotel steps, tilting my head back to look at Boston's cool night sky, the June breeze running through my hair, soothing the burnt patches of old memories. The noise inside hadn't stopped. I could still faintly hear Veronica's wailing, someone's angry scolding, the sound of chairs being knocked over. But none of it had anything to do with me anymore. From the moment Lily spoke the truth, I was free. No one could shove me back into the mud of cruel gossip. No one could sneer at me as the loser ever again. I tightened my grip on my purse, glanced back at Lily one last time. "I'm leaving now. You should get some rest too. We both deserve a good night's sleep tonight." Lily smiled and nodded. I turned, striding away from the hotel that had turned into a furnace of lies. I walked on, my heart light, leaving behind everything that had once made my chest ache until I couldn't breathe. And I knew tomorrow morning when the sun came up, people would still talk about Alex and Veronica's wedding. But this time the story would be the truth, not the lies they told to paint themselves in glory. I walked out of Lillian Hall Hotel without once looking back. The Boston night was still lit up as usual, but I felt like I had just stepped out of a nightmare that had lasted 3 years. I didn't know how that wedding would end, But I was sure of one thing. No one would believe in the perfect love that Alex and Veronica put on anymore. I stopped by the curb, pulled my phone out of my purse. A message from Rachel, the only friend I truly considered real, was flashing on the screen. Rachel. Emily. Where are you? I just saw what happened inside. Are you okay? I smiled, my finger gliding gently. Me. I'm fine. Just needed some fresh air. Less than 10 seconds later my phone rang. I picked up, Rachel's voice full of worry. Emily. Oh my God, you're amazing. When did you pull this off? It's chaos in there. Veronica's crying like crazy and Alex is getting chewed out by his whole family. I leaned against a streetlight pole, eyes watching the long line of headlights. I didn't do anything, Rachel. It was all thanks to someone brave enough to tell the truth. I just stood still and let them show their true faces. On the other end, Rachel sighed. I'm so proud of you, Emily. You should have seen those nosy guests when the messages played out. They buzzed like a broken beehive. I let out a quiet laugh, so soft it almost melted into the night breeze. For 3 years I'd been terrified of whispering eyes, of gossip behind my back. But now, with the truth exposed, those very mouths became the knives turning back on Alex and Veronica. Rachel lowered her voice, as if afraid someone might hear. Owen, Mrs. Helen, Alex's aunt, is telling everyone that if Alex has any decency left, he should call off the wedding. Veronica's family is in shock too. I heard Mr. Mason, her dad, is furious about his family's reputation being dragged through the mud. I closed my eyes, taking a long breath, letting the traffic sounds carry away the remnants of bitterness in my chest. It's their mess to clean up. I don't care anymore, Rachel. Yeah, get it. Rachel paused a moment, then giggled. I bet tomorrow every Boston tabloid will be all over this. Those two won't dare show their faces anywhere. I stayed silent, listening to Rachel's laugh like a warm tune pulling me out of the earlier chaos. Finally, I laughed too, exhaling in relief. I'm heading home. You should go home soon too, don't stay there too long. Got it, Grandma Emily. See you tomorrow, I'll spill more drama. Bye. The call ended, and I stood for a bit longer before walking toward the nearby bus stop. The night breeze brushed my cheeks, wiping away the corner of my smeared makeup. I saw myself in the bus window, no longer Emily Scott, the girl people mocked as a failed ex-girlfriend. I was just Emily, an ordinary person who knew how to protect her own dignity. My phone buzzed again. This time it was an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. A hoarse, exhausted voice came through. Emily. It's Veronica. I froze, my hand tightening around my purse strap. What do you want to say? On the other end, Veronica sobbed. Her voice was shattered, with none of her former arrogance. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I loved Alex. I wanted him. I didn't think it would end like this. I stayed silent. What did an apology mean when it was spoken only after everything had fallen apart? When she had humiliated me in front of everyone, stolen 3 years of my youth and my trust. Veronica continued, her voice breaking. I know you hate me, but please don't say anything more. Beg you. I let out a quiet breath, eyes staring out the bus window. The Boston night was beautiful and cold. My voice came out light as the breeze. I won't say anything more. You deal with the consequences of what you did, Veronica. Goodbye. I hung up before hearing another word. The phone dropped back into my hand, vibrating in silent pulses. The bus stopped. I got off in front of my small apartment building. A few windows were still lit, others were dark in sleep. I pulled my coat tight, looking up at the quiet night sky. I had promised myself never to be weak again. Tonight, every chain named Alex and Veronica had been cut clean. I was free now, and I would live well for myself. The next morning, I woke up when sunlight slipped through the small window, shining onto the corner of my bed. The smell of coffee drifting from the neighbor's kitchen made me feel an oddly peaceful sense of calm. I stretched, greeting a new day as if last night had just been a nightmare I had dreamt. The phone on my nightstand blinked with notifications. I scrolled through. Dozens of messages and missed calls, mostly from people who had never really cared about me before. Old co-workers, a few acquaintances from parties Alex used to take me to, even a couple of nosy reporters. I let out a breath, not bothering to reply. I made myself a cup of coffee, opened the window, and let the early June breeze brush my face. The morning news on TV replayed the clip from last night's wedding. The image of Lily standing in the middle of the ballroom. Her calm voice exposing the secrets Alex and Veronica had hidden, turning that crystal-lit room into a place of shame. I looked at the screen, took a sip of coffee, and didn't feel a pang in my heart anymore. The phone rang again, this time it was Rachel. I put it on speaker, her voice bubbling like she was about to spill shocking gossip. "Emily, have you read the news yet? All the online sites are reporting the broken wedding now. Veronica's family is blocking the media, and Alex got suspended by his father's company. Serves him right." I chuckled, setting my coffee cup down on the table. "You know what, I don't care anymore. Whether they fall or stand back up has nothing to do with me." Rachel giggled. "Yeah, I know. But hearing it still feels so satisfying, right? Oh, so what's your plan? Staying in Boston or going somewhere for a while?" I looked around my small, cozy apartment. Everything was simple but warm. I suddenly realized I had been living like a shadow for 3 years, always revolving around what Alex liked, the friends Alex chose, the places Alex wanted to go. Now I was truly living for myself. "I'm taking a month off," I said, my voice as light as the morning sun. "I'm going to Maine, live by the sea, read books, and sleep as long as I want." Rachel squealed. "That's awesome. I'm coming with you this time. You're not escaping me, got it?" I laughed out loud, my smile reaching my eyes, sparkling but no longer wet like those nights I cried over Alex. After hanging up, I sorted through my old luggage. A few old photos and keepsakes of Alex were still mixed in the closet. I gathered them up, put them in a cardboard box, sealed it tightly, then carried it down to the trash bin downstairs. When the box hit the bottom, I knew I had thrown away a piece of memory that had once been beautiful, and had long since rotted away. Back in my room, I opened my laptop and typed the first lines of my leave request. My fingers flew across the keyboard without a hint of hesitation. Outside the window, the breeze was refreshingly cool, as if welcoming me out of that dark, murky place. I thought of Lily's face last night. A tiny waitress but braver than anyone powerful in that glamorous hall. I sent Lily a short message. "Thank you again. I hope we'll meet again on a happier occasion." Just a few seconds later, Lily replied, "I hope so too. Please live happily, Emily." I smiled, closed my laptop and told myself, "Yes, Emily, from now on you must be happy, for yourself." By late afternoon, I strolled to the park near my home. By the lakeside, I saw couples holding hands, families gathered together, kids laughing under the golden sunset. Strangely, I didn't feel lonely anymore. I knew love wasn't wrong. The mistake was loving someone unworthy. And I knew I would love again someday, when I was ready. My phone buzzed softly. Rachel sent another text. "I booked our tickets to Maine. Get your suitcase ready, my strong girl." I looked up at the sky turning a deep purple, street lights flickering on one by one, twinkling like new dreams. This time, that dream wouldn't be handed to anyone else. It was right in my own hands. From Emily's story, I understand that when it comes to love and dignity, sometimes staying silent only prolongs the pain and enables the deceivers. Even when we're hurt, the most important thing is to stand up for ourselves, keep our self-respect, and find our true self again. The truth may come late, but it always finds a way to reveal itself and free honest people from cruel rumors. Each of us deserves to be respected, genuinely loved, and to move forward in peace. What do you think about Emily, Alex, and Veronica? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to follow this channel for more heartfelt real-life stories and valuable lessons about family, love, and self-respect.